On Business Incorporated today, Nigeria emerges second highest recipient of UK visa. Egypt's central bank cancels maximum deposit limits for deposit operations by individuals and companies. And Zimbabwe's inflation rate drops to 9.8% in August. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Ini John Mekwa. This is Business Incorporated. We start as usual in Africa, where it's all green as intraday. Talking about the market numbers there, the NGX sustained that positive sentiment for a third day. It's up at intraday 0.09%, and 49,000 coming up from that 48,000, 49,708.31. South Africa, it's also positive 0.17%, and they are sustaining that 70,000 that they got since yesterday. Going to other parts of the continent now, in Egypt, it's even more positive, 1.8%, almost 2% at 10,287.27. Kenya remains in the bearish territory. We wonder what's happening to that market. Yesterday, it's closed more than 1%, 1.26%. That's a lot for the market to lose all at once. We move from the African market to the Middle East, where it's a lean market on Fridays. Only two markets trade, at least from the markets that we follow. And looking at the numbers there, Abu Dhabi is in the positive, 0.44%, almost 0.5%, while Dubai is down 0.09% at 3,459.55. And other parts there, we see this markets are not trading today. So these are the numbers they closed with yesterday, Thursday. Qatar was in the positive 0.70% at 13,746, while Saudi was in the positive more than 1%, 12,591.74 yesterday, the 25th of August. Well, from there, we move to Europe amid a possible COVID-19 resurgence. Germany's labor minister is planning to make it mandatory for employers to let people work from home again, going back to that virtual home. Well, it will be the revival of a rule that has had big impact on jobs and the way work life in general is being viewed in the country and, of course, around the world. We have Chris Kobada joining us to give us details. Hi, Chris. Good afternoon. Good to see you this Friday afternoon back in Nigeria. But what exactly does the Labour Minister want with this?
According to the ministry's plans, employers will have to draw up hygiene and safety concepts to protect people who do have to go into their place of work, while also allowing remote working. Employers should offer staff the opportunity to, quote, carry out suitable activities in their homes if there are no compelling operational reasons to the contrary. Now, these include a reduction in operational personal contacts and offering employees the opportunity to work in a home office. That is according to a draft bill for the SARS-CoV-2 occupational health and safety regulation from the Labour Ministry. It would run alongside Germany's COVID protection laws, which come into force from October and run until the beginning of April next year. Now, during these periods, companies are meant to offer people the opportunity to work from home, as I said, unless there are operational reasons that don't allow it. Furthermore, they should enable their employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19 if necessary during working hours. Employees who continue to go to their workplace will have to be offered a COVID test at least twice a week, and if minimum distances are not observed, face masks will have to be provided and worn by the staff under the draft proposals. Whether these plans will be successful is hard to say right now. Germany's trade union confederation has been supporting the minister's ideas, but we haven't heard many other political voices backing up the plans. Also, infection rates have been dropping in recent weeks, and many have gone through a coronavirus infection with only mild symptoms. So the scenario of catching the virus has lost some of its threat. And those are some of the issues that the head of Germany's Confederation of Employers Associations is pointing to when he says making the same measures mandatory as during the high times of the pandemic, when the actual infection scenario right now is unclear, would be inappropriate.
Yeah, but Chris, this is not the first time that we're going through this. Has it changed the way work is viewed?
It really has been having an impact. Having the chance to work from home for at least some time has become a real demand of employees and part of wage negotiations. At the same time, skepticism about the measure and its duration has also been growing, particularly among people in company management. Just this week, the head of Deutsche Telekom, which is the country's biggest telecommunication firm, said he would like to reverse the trend of working from home within his company. He said that working from home might be here to stay. At the same time, a great deal of vitality would be lost through it. Talking exclusively on video calls means personal exchanges and creativity would diminish, he added.
Well, I can tell you that in Nigeria, working from home has changed some other things. But how's the market looking this afternoon?
Mostly on the upside, as investors look to an eagerly awaited speech from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. With inflation hovering near a four-decade high at almost 9%, Mr. Powell will likely stress that the Fed is determined to bring it down to its 2% target, no matter what it takes. We'll see what other clues economists and investors can draw from his remarks later today. In other news, German consumer sentiment fell for the seventh month in a row in August as households braced for surging energy bills. That's according to a recent survey. But so far, it's leaving investors unimpressed, with Germany's DAX raising 0.6% compared with the closing level on Thursday.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we hope the market recovers by Monday. So moving from Berlin there to the United Kingdom. Well, talking about Nigeria, Nigerians have emerged the second highest recipient of United Kingdom's worker visa between December 2019 to June 2022. We'll have Juliana joining us now to tell us if they have formed a community there and what exactly these Nigerians are doing in the UK. Hi, Juliana. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Innie.
Yeah, so what are these Nigerians doing mostly in the UK?
God, this is a really interesting story, actually, and it can be interpreted into an even negative or positive spin, depending on how you look at it. The Office for National Statistics have released this data basically showing which foreign nationals are making up a highly skilled workforce, and India tops the bill. Then we've got Nigeria. I believe the Philippines come in third, then Zimbabwe, and then America. And this is all about this skilled workers visa. Britain have been really desperate to get high-skilled workers in this country, particularly after the back of leaving the European Union, and the fact that the labour market is growing, and it's really difficult for them to train up and upskill workers here. So what do? Go abroad and get them. What's quite interesting in this data is it does show that in the period that it covers, Nigerian acceptance of these visas has shot up 330%. And this is, it covers a large swathes of different sectors. We're talking about economists, we're talking about scientists, we're talking about engineers. Of course, we're talking about medical staff as well. And that's where I think some people could say, you know, is this great for Nigeria? Is this something we should be celebrating when we know that Nigeria is in desperate need of keeping their most high-skilled workers in the country? Not everybody should try and go away to Canada, America or Britain, even if it does sound attractive, because if all of the best skilled talent leaves the country, what are we left with? That is an area that I think, you know, the Nigerian federal government should be looking at, you know, giving people proper wages. given people the infrastructure and given people a pretty nice environment, so they want to stay. So this is seen as a win for Britain, but is it a win for Nigeria? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, not. In fact, you don't need to think about it, Juliana, because the banking sector is really feeling it. There are some operations, ICT operations in the banking sector now that's really suffering. So it's not a good one for Nigeria at all. But Royal Mail workers are beginning a strike. Another strike in the UK, Juliana.
Another strike in the UK, Innie. It's been a summer of strikes, and they are set to continue. 115,000 Royal Mail workers are striking today. So unfortunately, I didn't get your letter that you sent to me, Innie, and so many people are not going to be getting letters today or parcels. This is the first of 4 strikes, and again, it's all falling under that same category, isn't it? You know, not happy with pay, not happy with conditions. Now, the Communication Workers Union, which represents these staff members, have been saying that Royal Mail bosses, you know, have been benefiting from really high bonuses. I believe from the year to March, Royal Mail profits were up to £450 million, much higher than it was in the previous year. But bosses are saying, look, you know, you're asking for too much, don't get too greedy. We've given you, we've offered a 5.1% pay rise. We're losing £1 million a day, and that's because Royal Mail are really kind of struggling with their identity at the moment. They got a bit of a lift during the pandemic where people were at home, people were spending more online, and they were able to jump onto that parcel delivery. But people are not sending letters anymore, so they are trying to transition, and with that, they say that comes at a cost. But then when you look at the fact that inflation is currently at 10.1% in this country, likely to rise to over 18% in January, for Royal Mail workers, an increase of 5.1% on their pay just isn't enough. So they're striking today. There will be further strikes, and there are fears that this could significantly disrupt the festive period, where we know most people do like to send a Christmas card and a gift via mail.
Juliana, sounds like Royal Mail workers are taking advantage and strategizing because they do know that's the period that they're most useful. But let's see how the markets are doing at this time.
Markets aren't doing bad, considering we had the really awful news this morning that was expected, but still shocking nevertheless, that the energy bills, the average energy bill, is going to rise from £1,970 odd to over £3,500. I just received my bill, actually, for the month of September, Innie, and it's going to cost me £350 in 1 month to heat my home, which is, I believe that's, you know, just short of about 300,000 naira. It is a lot of money, but that hasn't fretted investors too much because they are all anticipating a speech by Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, and hopefully there could be some indicators of interest rates. Whether or not the rises are going to start declining in coming months, we'll just have to wait and see. But going into the bank holiday weekend here in the UK, the all-share is up 0.13%. The FTSE 100 is up 0.07%, and the FTSE 250, that domestic market, up too by 0.38%. In the currencies market, the British pound is currently trading up against the US dollar by 0.06%, though trading down against the euro by 0.38%, but up against the Japanese yen at intraday by 0.35%, Innie.
Yeah, mixed sentiment there, Juliana. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move to Asia Pacific, where on Friday, investors are looking ahead to that Chair Jerome Powell's speech at the Jackson Hole later stateside. Japan's Nikkei 225 added 0.57% to 28,641.38, while the Kospi in South Korea advanced 0.15% to 2,481.03, and the Kosdaq fell 0.8% 0.01% to 802.45. Mainland China's Shanghai Composite ticked 0.31% lower at 3,236.22, and the Shenzhen Component lost 0.366% to 12,059.71. In Australia, the S&P AX 200 rose 0.79% to close at 7,104.1. And in the United States, stock futures dipped on Friday as investors awaited Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's speech in Jackson Hole, where futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by 87 points. S&P 500 futures traded 0.4%. There you have the numbers right there. The Dow Jones down 0.27% at 33,187. S&P futures was also down. It's a red market, red features for the United States, 0.5% at 4,184.25, and the Nasdaq futures was also down, all red there, 13,086. Nevertheless, all the major averages are on the pace for their second straight down week. The Dow is on track for a 1.2% decline. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite are heading to slightly smaller declines of 0.7% and 0.5%, respectively. As I said, all eyes are still looking at that Powell's speech, which we're expecting to push a lot of markets one way or the other. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll head straight to the African continent. I have stories there for you. This is Business Incorporated on Channels Television. Welcome back. Still watching Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. We'll start African stories with Nigeria. The issue of fund repatriation has been a challenge for the aviation sector, and we've heard how some airlines are threatening, well, not threatening anyways. From the 1st of September, we'll see Emirates will no longer fly in and out of Nigeria. There are also stories about British Airways, but we have to confirm or refute that story. The president of National Association of Nigerian Travel Agencies, Mrs. Susan Akporiaye, joins us virtually. She's actually mobile, so she will have to join us without the video. Good morning, Susan. Good to speak with you.
Good morning.
Or afternoon.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, well, good to see you virtually.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's afternoon. Yeah, the weather is a bit cloudy here, so it looks like morning.
Okay, all right. So first of all, help us. There are some stories making the rounds that British Airways may join some other airlines and stop its movement, flights in and out of Nigeria. How true is this?
Unfortunately, it's not true. Just yesterday, I was in a meeting with the BA team, and they re-emphasized that they are not stopping their flights. They don't have such plans, and they don't intend to. So I don't know where that story came from, but it's not true.
All right. But the issue of fund repatriation is obviously a challenge. We have been talking about FX shortage for a while. And then now we're seeing airlines stopping flights to and outside Nigeria. But how serious is it for you now as an agency operating in the aviation sector?
I'm very sure your guess is as good as mine. It's actually very bad. It is very bad because the trap funds, a lot of airlines has placed some restrictions. So there's so many things we can do. We can't issue tickets. We cannot service our clients properly. The fares are crazily high. People can hardly afford it. This is the school year. People are going back to school and they are practically borrowing or paying their nose because that is a necessity. So the flights that we are servicing and the ticket that we are issuing are those ones that are absolutely necessary that they have to go, like students. You have to go back and continue your education with so much pain. As a matter of fact, some parents with tears, they are paying for this ticket. You have ticket going back to school, 1.7 million, 2.7 million is ridiculous. And it pains us to see the pain of our client because one of the duty of a travel agent is to be able to provide the best fare for their client, and we have not been able to do that. It's leaving us so helpless. and it's not a good situation. It's really, really bad. No sales, no income. This is a school here. Our staffs have been, we've already started also strategizing. We've started making some adjustments. A lot of our members, we don't open our offices every day anymore. Our staffs don't come to the office every day. I've been trying to save on transport. So, my darling, it is very bad.
Do you see any way out of this? Any low-hanging fruit you think can ameliorate this hard situation?
The one I can see at the moment, the House has finally, because the bad thing about the whole thing, as we have been talking, we have been complaining, the airlines have been talking, the government have not said anything. But sometime last week, the House has finally come out saying that we're going to call for a meeting. And from what I'm hearing, the meeting is like going to be first or second week of September. I even think that is late. That meeting should have been ASAP. And the low-hanging fruit here for me, I believe the government should put these airline funds on priority list. They are prioritizing some other things more than these, and they need to look at the bigger picture here. That airline funds, aviation, easy movement in and out of Nigeria is also a priority. If people can't do that, I mean, Nigeria is shut out from the war. Okay, hypothetically, just imagine if all the airlines should join Emirates, and by 1st of September, they all stop flying, meaning Nigeria has been cut off from the rest of the world. How do we survive? Knowing fully well that our economy is a dependent economy. We're a consumer nation. How do we survive? So as a matter of priority, that meeting for the second week of September is late. That meeting should have happened like yesterday. They need to put on top priority the funds of the airline. Guess what? The airlines are saying if we get only 50%, we are good. Because summer is about to end. Low season will start. So we will not even have any much sales in low season anyway. So the airlines are saying we don't need 100%. If we get 50%, we will go back to business as usual. They will be comfortable for a while. But we just have to, I mean, it's an election here, and this is a big assignment for whoever is going to come in to look for how we can take Nigeria away from being a consuming nation and start producing. Because we buy more than we sell. That's why our foreign currency is depleted. We absolutely don't have this foreign currency. It's not there. We spend. That's it.
Susan.
So that's it. Put them on priority list. That's the low-hanging fruit right now.
All right, Susan Akporeye, National President of National Association of Nigerian Travel Agencies. We do feel your pain. We feel it too. And that's why we brought it up for conversation. Thank you so much. And we do hope that that meeting will yield fruits. Just before we go, because we're almost out of time, Egypt Central Bank cancels maximum deposit limits, increase cash withdrawals to 150. The CBE also decided to increase the daily maximum limit for cash withdrawals for individuals and companies from branches from 50,000 to 150,000. Furthermore, it kept the daily limit for withdrawals from ATMs to 20,000. And from there to Zambia, where, I mean, against all odds, annual inflation rate for August 2022 decreased to 9.8% from 9.9%. It might be minimal, but at least it's a reduction, which means on average, prices of goods and services increased by 9.8% between August 2021 and August 2022. Inflation slows due to price movement, mostly in food. Zambia Statistics Agency interim statistician general said that the slowdown in annual inflation was mainly attributed to the price movement in food items, adding that the annual food inflation for August 2022 reduced to 11.3% from 12% in July. Looks like a good place to say thank you so much for being a part of Business Incorporated for this week, a 5-day stretch of stories coming to you. We'll do it again next week. I'm Ini John Mekwa. Have a great weekend.